and us from River State, wherever you join us from, please let's keep it coming. And please kindly put a link that was sent to you to join this meeting and share with at least 10 of your friends and tell them to join this meeting. We're 43 right now. I know that we can hit 100 before we end. So please pick the link and then send to all your contacts. Tell them that there's a meeting where they can get $1 million today, right? Because the information they're going to get is much more than $1 million. Okay, so today we're going to have two couples as we wrap up building a family legacy. And I believe that we're having a great time today. Okay, so I have the team Dinma and Nedum Nwobi, right? I mean, these are my friends. They are my people, my own people, right? I mean, people call Dinma my official wife, right? Because I mean, when you see me work, you almost see her around somewhere, right? And we work together. We run the institute and everything. She's our director of studies, and she's so close to me. I always tell people, whatever I can do, Dima can do, right? If there's anyone who carries my spirit, really, I mean, that's Dima. And her husband, I mean, the President General among the nation of Women Rapper Association of Africa. He's our president. You know, the people who are women, men who are women rapper, you know, they say women helping women, men helping men. This one, man helping wife. That is the president general among all the nations. Okay, it's so good to have Nedum and Dinma in the building. Okay, good to have you guys. You're welcome. Okay, I have the other couple. I mean, this one, if there's anyone who has troubled my life, no, not troubled, disturbed my life the most, maybe in the last 5 years. I mean, she talks to me almost every day, any little question, anything happening in her life. She goes to brush her teeth like this. She will announce to me, PF, I've just finished brushing my teeth. She she disturbs me all the time, right? But I love her so much, and I love her husband. I'm their family life coach. So I run their assessment almost every year. I do sessions with them, and I'm super excited. For this couple, they have literally implemented everything we stand for in the family. I have access to their children. I mentor them. So this is Team Ayo and Femi Lawrence. Okay, house drum rolling. I want you guys to celebrate them in the chat box. Okay, Abia from Zambia. Looks like we have more Zambians coming in. Our people from Zambia, we love you. Okay, so let me welcome you guys. I'm going to start in an unorthodox manner, right? And so I am going to, I'm sure we'd like to know how you met before we even, Dima, stop tormenting us. This is a meeting. It's not a kissing because you can start doing something that I think, man,
Now,
don't do what I did not instruct today. And because you can carry Uncle Nedum and start dancing in this meeting. So
I
behave
was
yourself.
trying to adjust so that I can be in frame because I'm out of frame.
So we don't want pornography in this meeting. Okay, so I'm going to start with how did you guys meet? These are couples who literally practice everything they teach, and I love them. They are very dear to my heart. So let's start with Uncle Nedu. Is the one that I'm not going to allow Dima to say it. So how did you meet? How did you meet this beautiful lady? What did you say to her that, swept her off her feet to say yes to you? That I know that she has now turned you to our president. Anyway, so let's start from there, Uncle Edom. How did you guys meet and eventually get married?
Okay, thank you, Praise, for this wonderful privilege, and also the House of Savior, our people, where we share, rub minds together to build ourselves to the capacity where we can also influence our nations and all the people around us. And how do I meet this wonderful lady? We met in church, practically when we were in the CCRN, that's the Charismatic Renewal of Nigeria, in the Catholic Church, where we're ministers there in the teaching ministry, and she was in the intercessory ministry. And so before then, I was already in a relationship, trying to figure out how my life will be and who I'm going to partner this life with. And we have also at that same time participated in a lot of youth programs in organizing committee. And at that time, we are not really that close. We just know we are working together as brothers and sisters. And so that is the place our friendship started to grow. And from growing, we started, talking, reading, having friends with other friends as a group. And that is where we continued until one day we now ask ourselves, what are we doing? According to
Yeah.
her, she said I did not propose. And in those times, you don't propose. When you are very spiritual, what you just know is that you say that in the future, our family, I said up to today that I have to do that proposal again. And that became how we, became to plan for family life. And our wedding, we always say, is a joke like a joke. There was no particular point where I really say this is the person. But through friendship, through collaboration, through partnership in working within the ministry, I found that the best way to get somebody that can believe in you is somebody who you have seen so close, work with you, work in different departments. You can see her emotions. You can see when she's bitter, angry. You can see her contribution, her intelligence, and how she approach and relate with people. I think that was for me the most important thing why I make that strategic move to look for this wonderful lady.
I love that strategic move. Ha! In those days, I was telling someone that we don't trust, we receive. That's what they tell us in in the SU. Have you received the brother? Have you received the sister? So brother Nedum received sister Chidinma. Dinma, they receive you. Hiya. Anyways, I'll come back to you. Okay, so let's go to Tim Lawrence. Who do I? Okay, is it Ayo? Okay, let's take Ayo this time around. Ayo, how did you? I know that Oga Femi is also Secretary General of the Women Rappers Association of Africa. So Ayo, how did you meet your spouse? How did you guys meet, and how did you guys get married?
Yes, when Uncle Nedum was speaking, I was just, chatting with Femi. I said, we all met in church, as it were, because we met in the fellowship. We were both on the campus, and we were attending the same fellowship. I was in the choir, and he happens to be one of the overcomers class teachers. So when you get into the fellowship, we have this sessions that you have, and you have brothers, sisters that take those sessions. So he happened to be one of the brothers taking, one of the sessions. And I happened to be one of the students, in the session, and also happened to be in the choir. So I think that was the first place he first saw me, a 100 level student taking the overcomers class, and he was the teacher, as it were. And then I have some of his friends that were my own friends who were very close. I wasn't his friend. I just knew him as a brother, in the fellowship, and that was it. But I had another friend of his that happened to be a friend of mine, and we were very close. Then at some point they were moving hostels. So the very nice sister, I went to help my friend, who happens to be his friend, to pack some of his things to their new room. And that was where he saw me. And he said that day that when he saw me, it was laid in his heart that is his wife. That he actually saw my backside.
Can I help her from here?
Him help me, because he's the one that saw me.
Overcomers lecturer. You are teaching overcomers class. You now overpower your students.
Yes.
Okay. Let us hear from you.
Okay, Pierre. Actually, I have to overcome. I've got to overcome my teacher. Actually, it's precisely on that day when she was assisting my friend, to move to the other room. We're in the final year at that time. Just got into a 500 level. I studied electrical engineering. So, and she's a math maths student. So that day, she left the room before me. I left immediately after her, and I just sighted her from the back, on the back side, and she looks very, very yummy and attractive, So she met the standard that I of the lady that I liked, So, and as for me, one thing I desire and I like it, I go for it. I don't waste time. So that was when I made up my mind that finally I have reached my goal. And I just strategically waited. I visited her in her hostel once in a while. I knew what I was doing. I remember when I was in my final year project as well, because I was working on building microprocessor, computer toy. That was my project. So I needed someone to do a recording for me, that I need to program, on the microprocessor. So I gave her the task to do the recording for me. It's just to build that relationship, because we are not friends. I just know her as a fellowship member. We see her hi, but I need to get closer to her. And she assisted. So the bond remained closer, and I was able to strike the chord. And I told her, girl, I'm interested in you. And you're the one I want to start a relationship. Because back in the day, we don't date, so to speak. We are brought up as Christians, we don't date. We just propose immediately. And the rest is history today.
Come on, microprocessor, sharpshooter. So, I mean, if we were to be my fellowship, for example, when you receive the sister, you go and tell the president, right, to say, oh, these were the things you saw. So I can imagine Pastor Femi or Brother Femi going to meet the president and say, so what was your conviction? I saw a backside, and then I knew what my fellowship will excommunicate you almost immediately. Anyways, and that will take me to the first question. Seems like things have changed a lot from what we used to be and what it has become right now. I mean, they didn't emphasize a lot of dating, a lot of friendship. I mean, just pray and things will happen. Now, I know that both of you have built intentional family system. Now, my first question will be to Dinma. What inspired you to build an intentional family system, and especially you are married to, I mean, you are Igbo and you're married to an Igbo man. What we hear, the stereotyping of the Igbo culture that we know is that the wives are to be seen, not to be hard, as it were. I mean, from clients I've worked with, I know a lot of women who have called me to say, well, my husband doesn't even give me expression, almost like it's a patriarchal society where the man is strong, the woman will do what women do. But then you have a husband who, as far as I'm concerned, if I was an Igbo man, I would say it's a disgrace to the Igbo men, right? It's totally like an ancestor of a new generation of Igbo men giving us, what we are not used to seeing. I mean, I see him dance with you, I see him sing with you on social media, right? I mean, how did you, both of you, come about this intentionality, and what role does that intentionality play? And has there been, maybe back talk, bashing from a cultural perspective, and how did you overcome that?
Okay, so I thought Nedum would have given his perspective on that, but I will just start from my own. But to backtrack a bit, before Nedum and I met, he had stumbled on, was it a book?
Okay, go on.
A book by Miles Monroe on vision and what's that book again?
Principles of Vision and Power.
Okay, so that was prior to us meeting. So he had read that book, Vision of Power of Vision and all of that. So for him, it was a new thing. Vision for him was just sight. But now he was seeing a new dimension of how somebody can actually envision some things. So even at that time, the picture was not clear. We had not become an item. But he took that book, read it. He had read the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. So he on his own brought out a book and wrote the vision of the kind of husband he wants to be and the kind of father he wants to be even before we met. So while I on my own, I've always been a very avid reader. And backtrack again, I've once shared the story that I actually changed career paths because of family. When I was in JS3, going to SS1, I had a conversation with a family friend. And he said, what do you want to do in the future? Are you going to science or act? I said, oh, I'm going to act. I want to be a lawyer. And the man screamed, you want to be a lawyer? Female lawyers do not make good wives. So they will be arguing with their husbands and their marriage will not be sweet. That was why I changed from going to read law to science. So that means that even for me as a young girl, I've always fascinated about what does it take to build marriage. I'll see some marriages fun, some not so fun. And I read a lot of books, Mills and Boons. Yes, that may have created some expectations in my head, but I was interested as a young child in what will make this marriage work. So coming together with a man who had planned how to be a husband, and then he was dating his dream girl, yellow pawpaw girl that had all the curves in the right places. Because if you knew me then, the wind was blowing me as I'm walking. Like literally, if heavy wind was blowing, it would look like I would fall down. So that was how Belenge I was. That was how foolish looking I was. But he now, black man, he wanted to marry fair girl that was in Unilag. Anyway, that's his own story. Well, the girl show and Pepe because they were always fighting. They were always arguing. When he asked the girl,
Were you there?
you told me,
Were you
what
there?
he told me about. When you ask the girl, what is your dream in future? The girl is looking, get dream. So that just disconnected them. But he now started to realize, there's somebody that we are friends in the group with, that when we're having conversation, the conversation is flowing. We seem to be wanting similar things in life. Oh, I will come and maybe I will share with him, do you know this song? And I'll teach him some new Christian songs, or we'll read books together. So that was how it actually started. So, sorry?
Go on.
So that is what inspired that intentionality from both of us. Then we, like he said, one day we were at Tantalizers and he said, oh, in our family, when we get married, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. I'm like, okay, are we getting married? Anyway, let me say one thing, because you asked the backlash. So even in those seasons of us growing friendship, we were in a prayer team together, Gideon's Army, young people together praying. So we'll meet once in a week. Then I hadn't entered university safe. So one day I was now telling my very good friend in that Gideon's Army, God rest her soul, that this brother, I'm beginning to catch some feelings for him. That one went and told another sister in the prayer group. They now brought me in front of the prayer group. No, I had now gone to school. They now called him and said, did you ever tell this sister you're going to marry her? This man, he's a saint. He does not used to lie. He now told him that he did not propose. So imagine we now come to prayer meeting and they call the meeting and say, why are you now catching feelings? Well, I'm bringing it to say how people did not understand even how to help people in that stage. So the fact that I said I was having feelings for him was already categorized as a sinner, as a carnal mind, right? So they now asked him, did you propose to her? She said no. So that one, me, I can't say, as they said, did you ever ask her you marry her? Say no. Meanwhile, this man used to call me every week. When I was in Parapoli doing my IJMB. So as he now formed my hand in public that we did not have a thing together, I stopped taking his calls. So when he called me, I will not answer. What are you calling me for? Maybe we do not have anything together. Anyway, fast forward to he now realizing, maybe now that this lady is not speaking to me, I'm missing her. Whatever, he drove down to Ilori to make his matter known. That's how we started. So the significant thing of how we built our family vision, I would put it down to the fact that both of us are very curious and open to learning. Because 2 significant books changed the dynamics for us. 2 years into our marriage, after we read 7 Habits of Highly Effective Families by Steve Covey. And we also read a book, Balancing Life's Demands, A New Perspective on Priorities. That just gave us that blueprint to start with. So we crafted our first family vision in 2005, 2 years into our marriage, and started running it in, the little ways. We started our family retreat the first year of our marriage with an intentional meeting book, which is still alive till today, where we will discuss all of these things. So it's been a journey of learning and implementing. I would say that for me, our family legacy would not have been what it is if we were not open to learning, but more importantly, open to practicing everything we learned. Once we learn something, we'll bring it back home and say, how do we build this? How do we integrate this? You want to add something?
Yeah, because I have a lot of questions. Did I, a businessman, an Alaba trader, have this idea of, being very flexible about an intentionality what I do and bringing my culture and my background. So I come from Osumi, which is in Newisa local government, and that is where I have my earlier secondary school stages. And at that time, I'm the first son and firstborn of 7 children then. And so after school, I wanted to read law, and I was told that there's nobody to sponsor you, and therefore you follow the other path, which is apprenticeship. So the day before, when I will be sent out, I was called and I was told that I am responsible for my parents and for the rest of the 6 children, including me, that I am their future. And for now, I must begin to think how I'm going to change the trajectory of the family. And so no consultation, I'm just thinking, what will I do with my life? And I'm now added to a burden that I'm responsible for the whole people. So that was how I found myself in Lagos. And I think 2 years into my apprenticeship, I got a news that my mother gave birth to another child. I was like, what kind of wahala is this? Another 2 years, 2024, another news came that he gave birth to another son. And we're now 9. So I was like, I'm here thinking how this whole idea of body is going to change, and the idea of producing more addition to that body. So imagine an 18-year-old person being told your entire family depends on you. But God's so kind. It was at that time that I joined, actually, to deepen my spirituality. I joined the CCRM. And all we had that time was how the world is coming to an end. But I loved reading. In as much as I schooled in the village, I just loved reading. And that was when I stumbled on the Miles Monroe book, Maximizing Your Potential. So that was the first time I know that vision is not just about what you see in the dream and the things you see prophetically, but it's something that you can actualize. And one of the things that also shook my perspective and made me change how I want to approach life was one of the tips I got from Jim Rohn, The Acts of Exceptional Living, where he talks about you can create your future, you can create your dream. And the family I'm coming from, good and loving people, but this is not the state I want my future family to have. And so it was at that moment I started writing, who am I? What do I want to do with my life? What kind of father I want to be? What kind of wife I want? What am I going to do? How am I going to achieve this goals and dream? It was at that point, and that about 6 months to go through these questions gave me the idea of what I'm looking for a wife. And by God's special grace, when Dinma showed up, I knew that I wasn't making a mistake. I knew that I've gotten who I can build this future, this legacy, and this dream with.
Wow.
Collect this one.
That's why you are our president of Women Association, husband helping wives. Okay, let me come to, I mean, you have almost preached an entire message from your story, and I'm super proud of both of you. Ayo Lawrence and Femi Lawrence. How have you intentionally prioritized your family goals and values? And what strategies have you used to ensure everyone is aligned, right? I mean, how have you prioritized, your family goals and value? How did you even create it? And how did you get the children on board to ensure that everyone is aligned? Because I know that your family has a lot of alignment, and I mean, I know the children, so I know they talk to me, and I know the way they talk to me about you as well. So how did you achieve that?
I will go first because the whole the whole thing started with me. Like Femi said, when we got married, we weren't friends, as it were. We just knew ourselves and we felt, okay, this is what God wanted us to do. And we just plunged into it. And as we progressed in our relationship, we knew we were struggling, even though a lot of people thought we were doing so well. But we knew we were struggling. We were really, 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 really struggling. Our relationship wasn't what people outside were saying. And apart from that, we're having struggles connecting with our children. Especially, I would say from my end, I happen to be a systematic homer and someone who is big on systems, who is big on let's do it this way, let's do it that way. I can remember when they were growing up, when they wake up in the morning and we have laid the bed for the day. Nobody sleeps in the room again. So you see the children hanging around the house, just trying to let night come before they can go back to bed. I was that strict, So we're having challenge connecting with the children, especially our first child, our son, who happens to be, he is a creative homer. So you can imagine. So there are times that myself and him, we are clashing. So he happens to be someone who is fun-loving, wants to laugh, and his laughter is reverberating all over the house. So where I in particular was having problems, connecting with him, and also my husband as well. So we knew that there was something wrong, but we didn't know how to go about it. Then fortunately for us, in 2018, we went on Christmas holiday to Rwanda. And then we were having a conversation with another couple. And the person was talking about someone who is on retainership, a coach who is on retainership in their office and things like that. And I was like, oh, this is the kind of thing I really, really see myself doing. And I put a call to you, PF, that day that, is it possible I take a course and will it deliver to me what I see? And you said yes. So in the January of 2019, I came in for family systems engineering. And that was the beginning of the evolution first for me. The 7 days I cried throughout because I was like, what's happening here? See my life outside. What have I been doing with myself all these years? And I made up my mind that every tool that we were given during the program, I'm going to deploy it first on myself and then the family. When they ask me what I appreciate so much about my husband, I always tell people, and I don't mince my words, my husband is very, very teachable. He's someone that when you bring in anything new, he wants to learn, he wants to know, and is willing to make adjustments. So for us, we took everything that we were taught in family systems engineering and we deployed it on ourselves. After our vision, it was tough because, something different, something we've not been doing before. And at that point in time, my systematic honor was still really, really high. So it must be done. I still have that, the energy, coming with that energy, we have to do this. So we had to craft the vision with the children. I think our first child was 17 at that point in time. With my husband, we had to come up with our values and merged everybody's values together to be able to get, that's which we all stand for, came up with our creed, and that was how we were able to kick off.
Yeah, I think you've actually cracked it and said it entirely. We are both different, men, very unique way. And while before I came into marriage, I've always had a kind of a model of the kind of family, that I want to have. Just not a full picture, but just a glimpse. Because there's a family that I'm very close to. I was very close to a friend, very close to. I love their family so much. The way the father, relates with the children and the way the father supports the children, and also because of the experience that I had towards my end of final year before I graduated from the university, where my father was not working anymore, and the manufacturing industry where he was the general manager, crashed, suddenly, and financial issues finances became challenging at that point. And in addition to that, my father used to take care of a lot of people because he was very religious, and so we were a lot involved. So really, I didn't see him as somebody who has really built wealth, So I had to pick lessons from there that I don't want my family, to get to a point where because I'm not working, I cannot take care of my family. So financial, building vision around financial sustainability became very key for me, and also being able to integrate myself and be part of the family. So that was at the back of my mind. But the truth there is that even with all that, I was not even able to attain these goals simply because I have not understood how to actually build a family. I thought I was building a family, but really, I wasn't doing it. I was happy with myself, thinking that others are also happy with me. But the truth there is that no, until when we started this journey, just like she has described. And I can tell you that since that journey in 2018, 2019, that is the time when we start experiencing a change, a transformation in our family life. So the vision, we crafted the vision together. We usually have a family meeting. We are open, to criticisms. Everybody has bear their mind freely, without any interruption. And at the same time, every input into our vision, into our values, into our creed, it was a joint contribution as a team. So that's how the journey started. And then today I can tell you that we always reflect and we're grateful to God for the encounter we had in that 2019.
Thank you very much. I mean, the first day I came to the house and I saw your family vision on the wall, on the stairs, my heart just, I was close to tears. I'm not sure you all saw it, but I was very excited. And I saw how you distill the knowledge. And I think it's something every African needs to understand, that intentionality pays. So I'll take my next question to the Nwobis. What intentional decisions have you made? We're talking about leaving a legacy. Uncle Nedum and Dinma, unconsciously, you're already leaving a legacy of, Igbo couples coming together and dancing on social media, right? Or even general couples, not just Igbos, because you inspire a whole lot of us with your intentionality and stuff. What intentional decisions have you made regarding parenting styles, discipline, character development to change the children's future? Can you let us into, because I know you go on retreats, right, as a family. I know that you have meetings. I know that, at least I know what you take Kobe through, sometimes I just feel for the young man. All right. Can you take us into the back end of things? We see the dancing, but what goes into that dancing, sometimes choreography? Can you take us what the typical back end looks like? So that people can really, really understand the intentionality at which you take when it comes to decision making on parenting and things like that.
Like we shared from day one, we have a minute books that is 21 years now, and it's something that has been very recurring. And so when we get back to the children and start growing, annual retreats, that's every January, within 4 to 5 days, to go actually to sit down with each and every one of us, where the leader of the family will now chart across what he hopes to see for the family this year. And everybody has the right to express himself in terms of what are your goals for this year, either in continuity of the previous year or are there new goals. So everybody, Kobe started his when he was 4 years old. and I will help him to write whatever he just said at that stage. And up to today, he's 14 now. He still have those books and those records. And so every family member has that. And so what we'll do is to allow everybody to express himself, share what he intends to do. Then we'll wrap up by looking collectively how we are going to support each person as an individual, where he needs our support financially, and otherwise. We now create a calendar for the whole year, looking at the things we can do together as a family, then looking at where we support each one, where there is the need for that to be. That is what that happens behind the scene. And most of those meetings are not easy. They are not easy in the sense that there are going to be tension, there are going to be disagreement, even between both of us. There are also the children will say something they will think is not their right. So it's actually a challenge too, but hopefully as they grew, we begin to have more harmonious meetings in that regard. Then behind, again, now we look at all the dimensions of life. We look at economy. They set their budgets. In fact, they know how to just set their budget and present it. And one of the things that happens, what it did for us was that one of them one day were able to set the budget and saw the amount spent on her every year. She was wowed, because we allowed them to see, this is your breakfast amount, this is your residence, this is your school fees. They were treated at the amount spent, because we need them to understand that it is not just what we do as a parent, understand how this formation happens. And they look at our career goals, our fun and recreation. So whatever we do in the front has already been deliberated and agreed behind. So this is one of the powerful structure that helps us, parent with ease. And every quarter, we still have a review sessions 4 times a year. And that's what we did in January, and also see where we have shortfalls, where we need a change, where we need amendment, what we need to discard completely. And when we make success, want to look at what are the instruments that make us be successful here, and everybody will share her own struggles, what he did differently, how it worked. So the whole family understands each individual based on their personal experience and also our collective experience. Then the second thing we also do is we say that everybody has a right to his or her opinion. So we are open to rebuke, even as parents. We have stages where a child will come up and say he doesn't feel fairly treated in the equation. Why am I going to this school? And this person's school is costlier than my school. We made them to understand that whatever decision we are making it based on what is available and also based on their own potentials and skills. There's a way a daughter came and accused me that I like the son more than the 3 of them, that are ladies, that are girls. I need to explain myself. So it is not just a fairy tale meeting. Sometimes we close the meeting because everybody's angry. So this openness allows us to, make them to be involved in decision making. 2, the next one I want to also add up is when it comes to building family business and partnership, all of them are part of the process. What do I mean? For example, during holidays, one of my daughters follows me around, whether it's in the real estate or any other thing. She follows me around. She saw the process we go through. She stays in meetings. She writes some things for me. She go to do some research. How do this happen? Is for her to be involved in the process of what I'm doing. And also when it comes to the family life, when Dinma is having some meetings and some recordings or another one is assigned to her. So we do this interchange in a process for them to see behind the scene how this thing happened. Then we also have learning moments in the family. When we find that there's a pattern of thinking and behavior that does not align with our goals and future, we do retreats, we study a book. We have sessions whereby we learn about ourselves. So we've read some books as a family. not just as individual, but as a family, whereby we bring points and we learn together, we make suggestions, then we move to the next stage. And that has always helped us to, integrate these children into the mainstream of our thoughts, our behavior, so that they were better informed why this vision is being pursued, why we're achieving, and why we're moving in this direction.
Wow.
I think I just add one thing so that we also understand that we disagree sometimes. So there have been times that we disagreed in terms of parenting style, especially when it comes to parenting our son. So the dynamics of raising girls, we have seen it in reality that it is different from raising a son. And again, there's also the dynamics of him being the only boy in the midst of 3 girls, and also the last born. So you see that many dynamics follow him. Only son, last born, and everything. So sometimes, again, because of my husband's personality, the systematic Homer, and our young boy being the laid-back, relaxed one, he wants, like, this boy must have the image of his father. He must be as serious as his father. He must be as dutiful as his father. So sometimes it takes him time to master certain skills. And there have been times Nedum and I have had serious arguments that we had to call a meeting because he flogged him. And I'm like, no, we don't do flogging here. He said, no, we cannot not spare the rod. So there have been occasions like that. But the beauty for me is not the fact that we don't disagree, is that we come to the table, you make your presentation and argue your side why you are favoring this. You also make your side. And in that moment, I had to call his attention that your personality is, you need to temper down your personality for this young boy. And you need to understand that he can never be like you. No matter how much you train him to learn skills, his level of follow through and self-discipline will never be as heightened as yours, because it's not you, right? So we have those moments, and those moments we will have, it's really hot. So one of the things I tell people, if you want to do family life, you must be open to have tough conversations.
Yep.
They're not a run away from disagreement. Disagreement is how you can grow together. Even in the argument, you may not agree. I mean, I was sharing somewhere and told them there was a time, even with all of this, our intentional systems, that one of our daughters blocked me from viewing her WhatsApp status. Yes. She posted something on her WhatsApp status, and I called her attention to it, like, okay, what does this represent? What are you trying to tell others about you? And does this align with our family values and even your personal values? And I didn't know the young girl blocked me. I just thought, like, oh, maybe she was busy in school and wasn't posting, until something happened and someone was saying, oh, go to Kachim's, oh, go to her status. You are going to see something. And I went, I don't see status. That was how I found out that I have been blocked. I mean, my loving mother heart was broken, but it's the reality. I had to come to the idea that, okay, what about, I was really bitter. I deleted her from my phone. If you are going to block me from status, I might as well also block you so that everybody will be on their own, right? No, it's true. I'm being able here. But I had to, I spoke with our eldest daughter. That one also saw reason with why I rebuked what she posted. And we had to call a meeting for that. She apologized. We talked about it. But you need to realize that these children are growing with their own sense. And then there's so much influence about that. Because she said, oh, you're taking it serious because of your generation. This does not mean anything. I said, no, you can't throw careless words around. The internet never forgets. So you must be able to post something that 10 years from now, when it brings up and you see your name beside it, you won't be ashamed or whatever. So those kind of things happen, but we still bring it to the table and talk about it. And when we can't resolve it, we find external parties. Once we are trying to deal with something and is reoccurring, we are not making progress. We just say to ourselves, it means we don't yet have the skills to deal with this. So are we going to get a coach? Are we going to register for a course? Are we going to send the person to another person so that they will hear it from them? Because sometimes you are telling them they think your own is too much. Then you send the person to another person and is telling him something. So generally, we are open to growing. When the mistakes happen, we sit about it. If we can't solve it, we find external help to help us solve it.
Wow, thank you very much for letting us into the back end, because you know a lot of things happen at the back end. Someone was saying to me yesterday that I mean, she facilitated a session, no, 3 sessions yesterday, and she was almost passing out. So the person called me yesterday to say, PF, how do you do these things? So I started laughing. So I said, our body's wasted. And I think Dinma also posted a schedule one day, like 2 days ago. And I went there and said, what are you doing? Madam, should I have to your schedule? You know, that a lot of people don't know that the story is in the back end, right? And I always tell people, don't be moved by what you hear on the pulpit. The back end is really where the gist is. And if you can get the back end gist, because you have shared with us, from what you have shared right now, every family on this call who is interested in legacy, you know that you need to do family meetings, you need to do family retreats, you need to be ready to have honest conversation. We hate to do that, especially, you know, some of us don't hate correction. We love to correct other people, but then when we take feedback, we can't stand it. We now throw tantrums, we get upset and stuff. I mean, I was in a meeting one day, and you know, my wife took a contrasting action, right? A worldview about what I was pushing at that meeting was totally against what, in fact, almost as if it was against me, right? And I was calm. We had conversations, spirited debate. And during tea break, she went to get the tea break, and we were taking the tea break together. We were laughing. And someone called me aside and said, your wife was disrespectful at the meeting. I said, how do you mean? I said because I didn't see it as, said, you know, why would she go against it? I said, because my wife was sitting in that meeting, not as my wife. She was sitting in that meeting as an intellectual, as a professional with 2 master's degree. You know, so I said, how do you expect someone who went to school to agree with you all the time? Say his own wife cannot say that. I said, well, maybe your wife may be going through some kind of bitterness and she's not expressing it to you. I think all African men on this call, we need to normalize that someone arguing with you is not disrespectful. He just has a different perspective to how you see what you see. And you need to learn to listen to their perspective and then come together to take a decision, right? Because some of us, we just think, I mean, respect, say first thing of a man is respect. It means don't argue with me. No, a woman has the right to argue with you. That's why you went to see her backside, according to Mr. Lawrence, right? You saw that backside, you know, the moment you saw that backside, your brotherhood has been removed, right? You are now at the same level. Okay. So thank you very much for sharing and for being vulnerable to say your children can, you know, disagree with you. They can block you, right? There are times, sometimes my son does some things and I found that I like, why did you do this? And we'll have conversations. I'm always willing to talk through issues, and my wife will talk through issues with them. And that's the way it should be, right? I'll go to Tim Lawrence and then we'll begin to wrap up and narrow down on what legacy should be for Africa, especially as we try to revive Africa right now. How do you balance individual pursuits like career, personal growth with family responsibilities? And what sacrifices have you made for the sake of your family legacy? Right? I know that Ayo, you were in Canada for like over 1 year, you know, and I know Mr. Lawrence was in Nigeria. And trust me, is a tough call to make sometimes. So do you want to let us in the back end? How do you balance? How do you handle it? How do you ensure the children are okay? How do you, you know, Ayo is, I mean, you are fairy. You are like a workaholic, right? I mean, sometimes you call me and I'm like, Ayo, you should be sleeping. I say, what is Mr. Lawrence doing that is allowing you to call at this time? I say, I just woke up. I say, what kind of sleep are you sleeping? Go back and do what we ask you to. Mr. Lawrence, I'm warning you. You are not doing what we ask you to do. Anyway, that's a back gist. So how do you balance individual pursuit with family responsibilities, and what sacrifices have you had to make? You know, so that people don't know that it's not all rosy. You know, when we're doing family stem engineering research, all the couples I asked, how did your marriages work? They were saying prayer. Once you pray, prayer is the master key. I said, no, it's not prayer. There's a lot. In fact, we literally die at the back end to show up at the front, to resurrect at the front end. Literally, that's what it is, you know. So can you share with us some of the sacrifices and how do you balance? Yeah.
Okay. I'm someone that is very big on systems and structures. So that is one thing that runs in the family. So we have times we do this, we have times we do that. And when it comes to balancing what goes on in the family, we have days that we do certain things. And I work so much with calendars, I work so much with my reminders, and same with my husband. And we've been able to rub that on him in the course of our relationship. Part of the things that we also do as a couple or as a family is to ensure that everybody knows what is expected of them per time. And also we have our self-care days, we have our royalty days, and what we have even done with the royalty days now is to extend it to the children. So they actually have their own day that they do nothing. So we as their parents will wait on them. We ensure they have their food, we ensure their house is in order, you know. So those are the kind of things that we try to put in place to ensure that we experience, we rest. We have self-care as well. My husband is not so much into, let me use the word self-care, but I ensure that it happens. So I make sure that I book his spa dates. I make sure that I book the times he go for his pedicure, because I know if I leave it to him, he will not do it. So as much as possible, we leverage on each other's strengths. So in that area, I'm very strong. I ensure that things that ought to happen. When it comes to our career, that it doesn't impede on our family life. There are days that we take off. For instance, I take Tuesdays off. So that's the day I do my own thing. My husband also is on his own, you know, relaxes and does nothing. So those are part of the things that we do to ensure that we experience balance in the family. Another thing that's coming to my mind now is we both sleep early. We are early birds. So we sleep early and we wake up early. So when you see us at night or maybe early hours of the morning doing one thing or the other, know that we've slept around 7:30. So when we even have meetings 8:30, 9, it's a struggle for us to keep up with that because we sleep early to wake up very early. What else?
Okay, yeah, we've actually said virtually everything. The real thing about this case is that at different stages in our lives, you know, we have experienced different situations. You know, time when both of us were working, and there was a time when Ayo had to stop work. I was the only one working, and there was also a time when both of us had to stop working. So to speak, I mean, I'm talking of 9 to 5 now. I had to stop doing 9 to 5, and then we were both together. She was running an NGO, and then I was there. That time, I decided to just say I'm going to devote my time to also look after the children, because I realized that during the time I was in my 9 to 5, I was actually a very high flyer at that time. I used to travel a lot. So really, what I was focused on doing is to make sure that the family are well taken care of financially, you know, and also Ayo was on top of the game, and we are still communicating and also ensuring that things were good. But at that point in time, I was not that close to the children, because sometimes I may be home 1 week, and before I know it, I'm away for 2 weeks. You know, it happened. I think that's even happened for a whole year at that time. You know, so when I stopped 9 to 5 job, I said no, I'm not going to go back to paid employment. That's what I said initially at that time. So I devoted my time. I took the children out of school bus. I started driving the children to school. You know, all the way from where we lived down to Ibejuleki side. You know, where the school is. I will take them very early in the morning, take them to school, when they are close, when the closing time, I'm going to drive again, go there. But by the time I did it for about 1 month, I said, this is not easy. Even got at a point in time, I also did it for a very short time at some point before we put them on board. So I did it. I didn't know that this is a lot of work itself, So I started appreciating, what women do, especially even if we are operating as a housewife. It's not really housewife. It's actually a huge task, a lot of work. Because I don't really know how to cook at that time, but we just do 1 or 2 things, So what I'm trying to say here is that sacrifice was made, just to be able to build that relationship with the family, with the children, especially from my own side, because I was hardly at home, and my children now were teenagers at that point in time. So fast forward again, when Ayo had to leave, to Canada for 1 year, do you know what we did? I had to learn how to cook. I had to tell her, you are going, you are going to Jamio, I must not suffer. She said, you won't suffer definitely. Even though she has prepared the stew, the soup, everything in the freezer, but there's still something that I cannot prepare down now. The day I fried akara, oh Jesus Christ, I did video. I said to my family that, see me in action, see what I can do. I became proud of myself. My children too were happy, with me because they got the broadcast, So the family excitement kindled, at that point in time, because then my children too were involved because madam was not at home. They too were doing their chores. They were taking their initiatives. It was actually that time really bonded the family stronger than before. It was a blessing for her to have traveled, because apart from the fact that we're always in touch on phone, even sometimes she had to stay up very late so that by the time we're waking up, the connection is there. But in terms of being able to connect and talk and share and learn from one another, it was within that 1 year that Ayo had to go to school.
I just want to say something. When the children were still in the secondary school, and I was taking them to school at that point in time, I was sharing with him. I said, Femi, this thing is not easy. It's not easy. By the time I drop them off in school and I get back home, before I do 1 or 2 things, it's time to go and pick them again. But he didn't get it at that point in time.
How will I get it? Have I tried it?
So when he tried it, and he said, Ayo, I am tired. I said, no, you are not tired. You will do it 1 more time. 2 times, you will do it. When you've done it for 2 times, hey, they will now go on the bus. You must really understand what I've been telling you all this while. And he had to do it for 2 times, and it became a non-issue to getting the children on the bus. Because before it was an issue, it became a non-issue after that. I know my going to Canada was actually a blessing, because we found out that there were a few things that we still needed to put in perspective. And if we saw ourselves daily, we wouldn't have been able to. So that distance helped us to be able to do that. And we always remind ourselves that it was meant to be for that 1 year. Because we're glad, or rather, we're so glad that we were able to pick the time to come back, and to bring the family back together as a team. Like he said, the children grew so much within 1 year. Our first daughter doesn't really like cooking. She became someone who enters the kitchen, can do everything. Our first son as well, became very, very on top of the things he was meant to do. By the time I came back, I was like, oh, wow, this is amazing. And there's something that we made sure that we did the 11 months and 19 days that I was away. We kept in touch every day. There was no day that we didn't talk together, that we didn't pray together, that we didn't have conversations. And there were days we fought. Yes. There were days we had serious arguments. Yes, I can remember there was a day, I didn't know that my voice was really so high. And Tamilore heard in her room, and she had to call her sister. I don't know what is happening to mom and dad. They are arguing, So there were times we had that. But the beautiful thing is, by the time it was time for us to come back home, we made up our minds to embark on a 40-day journey. We used this book, Love Dear, PF, it was actually TPF that reminded me of the book. And myself and my husband embarked on that some few days before I came to Nigeria. And the task in the 40-day were such that we had to be creative, especially because we were not together in the same space. We had to think out of the box to ensure that we were able to do the daily tasks. There were times we had to do surprises. So he was having to think out of the box to surprise me in Canada. I was having to think out of the box to surprise him here in Nigeria. So the last few months, and I could remember as well, there was a day I had to have a conversation with him. I said, Femi, we need to have this conversation. I've been hurt as a result of what you did to me at some point. And because I was thinking as a Christian, I shouldn't express it, I have bottled it for so many years. And that morning I called you. I said, Femi, can you permit me to go back in time? Help me react the way I would have reacted the day, that you hurt me this much. And that day I was able to, I cried, I spoke, I opened up my heart. I did all I wanted to do that day. And for the very first time, I heard Femi's apology. He has apologized before. But when he said, Ayo, I am sorry, it meant so much to me. And I was healed. And this happened in the course of our 1 year apart. So for us, the staying apart was very, 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 very necessary. It was something that we had to do, even though what we had in mind when we embarked on the journey was different. But God orchestrated everything together to ensure that it worked out for our good. And I think I need to say it at this point in time, that even our coming back home, the decision started from House of Saviors. The day we invited Bukishoni Barrett to come and speak, I was meant to just set up the stage and get dressed to get going to church. And I had my towel just wrapped around me. I was in that position for 1.5 hours. I couldn't move. And by the time Bukishoni Barrett was ending, she said, I had to make a decision to come back to Nigeria. And that was all I needed to hear. That was all I needed to hear. And immediately I heard that, I called Tamilore. I said, Tamilore, do you want to go back to Nigeria? You need to see Tamilore. She jumped up. She was so excited. Yes, Mommy, I want to go back home. By the following day, she said, Mommy, I'm so sorry the way I reacted yesterday. That was just the way I felt. I said, it's okay. You made the decision making very easy for us. And by the time we spoke with Femi, we spoke with the other children, we decided, let's take time out to just see God's face further and know what he has to say. And the rest is history. And we are so glad that, we took that 1 year break. We are back. And the truth is, it's been amazing coming back home. It wasn't the same us that left Nigeria, that came back home. The bond has been stronger. The relationship has been, improved. I goof around much more now than before, because Femi is a very, very fun-loving person. Coming back home has just been beautiful, and we are grateful that the separation had to happen, and we're back together.
Yeah, just to touch just 1 second is, at some point in our lives, we were actually struggling rebuilding relationship with our son, especially. But I tell you today, exceptional relationship, exceptional. In fact, we always say, God, we are grateful that you have helped us to address this issue.
Yeah.
Because I will just tell you, at some point they had mentioned that they don't like coming home.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to come home. You can imagine what was going on in his head. But today is when Ayo was not around, and when she got back, by the time she was wrapping up, this guy will always want to come home like almost every 2 weeks. He will coming home. The guy that doesn't want to like coming home. The love, the understanding, the bond has just been unexplainable.
Yeah.
Simply because of those changes that we have backed upon, since that time that we realized that there's an issue with cohesion in our family. So
thank you very much.
Fear, before we go, let me just say one more thing, please.
I won't call you again.
sorry, we had to also put our children through therapy because we knew that the way we were parenting them, we had damaged them to a large extent. So we had to take them through therapy. We got Amina to work with them. We got Diola to work with Tamilore. And yes, and it was the transformation can't be overemphasized. And yeah, PF is their father, mentor, and everything. I just need to say this so that people will know that it's important we carry our children along. Even as we are also going through therapy, we also go for therapy ourselves to get better. Our children should not be left behind. Thank you. I keep my mouth shut.
Thank you very much. Ebulama, I see your hands up. Do you have a question? Before I go to Dinma, we now need to begin a roundup. Uncle Nedum. Yeah, do you have a question? I can see your hand up. Maybe it's a mistake. Now, Uncle Nedum and Dinma, I want you to address living legacy as Africans. We, in our bid to, so people were traditional. Then Christianity and Islam came, and we lost a significant part of our tradition and culture. And so we are gradually raising children who don't speak our language, our dialect. And once your language is gone, once your culture is gone, there is nothing left. All right. And now there's an African renaissance where looks like Africa is the fastest product globally right now, where Africans are waking up to say, you know what, we shouldn't have totally left everything about us. There are good sides to us. I mean, we are the most hospitable people in the world. I've lived in various cultures. We are the only ones who we accommodate people who, to our own detriment sometimes, right? We are just nice to a fault, right? How can African families become very intentional? Because I believe that God is raising a generation of new ancestors for Africans who are beginning to pioneer how family should run. Family, because we are not used to systems, we are used to emotions. What will be your word to every head of African family represented here? What do we need to begin to do if we're going to build the future and build this legacy without losing our very essence? I mean, we saw a video of the Rock Shield. I was doing a study of the Rock Shield and how the legacy was lost, because this was a family that gave loans to governments and all. And this is my personal theory. My personal theory was that I think at some point in their history, the person that could carry the legacy of the family was female. But because they were fixated on male, he must be a man, right? So the one who was a criminal, who is a spendthrift, eventually wealth was handed over to him. And of course, across various, but the rest is history. And we know Africans, the way we are with male children, as if masculinity is now responsibility and knowledge. So what would be your word? What do we need to begin to do, differently to ensure that we can build a solid legacy and pass it down, and our children can pass it down, and maybe someday we can actually create a developed African family and African continent from our families? Demand Uncle Nedum.
Can you hear us? I don't know, the network was just a bit. So thank you for that question.
We can hear you.
Please confirm that you can hear us, because people are freezing one kind.
Yes, we can. We can hear you.
Okay. So the head of the family say I should start first, then you will now conclude. So let me obey my leader. So I think it's interesting what you shared, and when you were talking about that family where maybe a female would have been the one to take up and they lost it, it just reminded me of our own experience. So like Nedum said, our second daughter is the one who is shadowing him and learning about the family business from his angle. And there have been people from Igbo culture, somebody met them one day going to work, and it's like, I've never seen an Igbo man putting the daughter in the line of business. That was first, maybe for some people, it's like, what are you trying to prove? For that man, it was like, you've just exposed my eyes to something else. So why am I saying that is that for us to begin to get back our rich African heritage, we must be models. We must begin to model what is possible, even when it does not look attractive. Nedum and I, in our journey, have been criticized many times, even in church, even in culture. I remember when we started to say, you know what, if you want to get married, you must spend time in courtship, discussing things, getting to know yourselves. But we grew up in a Christian culture where the intending couples did not spend time together. In fact, if you ever wanted to meet, you were going to meet in the presence of a chaperone. You know? Yes. And then we said, no, we're going to spend time together because we must get to know ourselves. And so some things that were supposed, that were the rules in the renewal then as regards to marriage, we did not do them, not because of anything, but because we believe that, no, there must be a better way. Now, those people are coming to say, oh, when you were saying it, you thought you were going carnal. Now we are seeing the reason for it. So sometimes people have to be pioneers of some things when it is not popular. Be able to stand your ground. Start building, like it was intentional. I brought out what we were going to wear for this presentation, and Nedum said, no, we are going to model the Igbo culture. He was actually the one that chose our outfits. And I'm like, that is a subtle message. You did not say anything, but by appearing this way, you've already begun to put something in the minds of people. That's what we should do. We should begin to, and it starts from, first of all, our unique family visions. What is that thing you want your family to be known for? It can find expression in your African heritage. I mean, for the people on this call who has interacted with our family in one way or the other, if you ask people, and we do it sometimes as social experiments, when you think of Dinma, Nedum, what comes to your mind? You hear fun, you hear bonding, you hear happiness. It's not by magic, because ingrained in our family vision is that our family is a model of bliss. And our mission statement says that we are raising other happy families. So that is why we show up. So when we are playing and laughing, I mean, when we formed the family vision, we redid our family vision and values. The children added fun and creativity. And that is the part people see. So we do fun things together because we actively live those values. Many a times we see change agents just having things in theory. My husband will tell me when we learn some things and I want to teach it, he say, have you done it for yourself before you are teaching it? So we want to first infuse it and then teach it. So that is the baby steps we need to take. And I think for us as Africans, we must build the courage that we have what is working. There are things that we're already doing in our homes or in our whatever, and it's producing results. But you are thinking is until something comes from America, until it's a UK certified one thing, until it's a German certified another thing. What of your indigenous creations? Which was why last year, when we were celebrating our 20th wedding anniversary, we said, what will we make a legacy project in this next 5 to 10 years? And we decided, you know what, the things, the systems or the blueprints we have been using in our homes, and even with the people we have been working with in our one-on-one, let's package it and teach it to people. And PF, maybe you will not remember this. When I was sharing with you about the vision for Happify Humanity Project, and you did say to me something. You said, Dinma, you need to start teaching people how you create the results you create. Then probably, you just stuck with me, but I just see that's the beauty of being open. Because when you are open, things may not be so clear at certain times, but once you remain on that path, clarity will continue to come. And now that we have put this together into this blueprint and we're sharing with people, this is the model that we have used that is working. And then we started to translate that model to other couples. And we put it together and say, hey, this is this model, go and use it. That is how we can also, so let's not wait till we bring something from outside. Oh, the professor, is it from America? Then everybody's running helter-skelter. Meanwhile, in your hands is so much that has produced results. Why are you not talking about it? Why are you not putting it out there? I never even start audacity because somebody said, Dinma, anytime I open social media, I'm seeing your face. I say, you never even see my face. 2025, you will be seeing me in your dream. Like you'll be dreaming, you will see my face in your dream because that is the season that we have come to, that we've kind of have named this season our legacy season. All the things that have produced result for us, whether we have gathered it in a very systematic way, we are putting it out there and we are tweaking it as we're doing it. We are documenting it. That's what we need to do. The children are writing a book, their experience of being parented by us. It should have come out last year, but they couldn't finish it. And we did not get involved. We just got them a writing coach. Go and be talking with the person. What have you experienced being raised in this home from when you were born till now? And the writing coach is working with them and they are putting their authentic experience. We have not even read it. The day it will come out to the world is the day we will see it because we don't want to influence it. We want to be truly their own experience. And it's going to be documented. It's going to be taken out there. So even for some of us that have lost our family legacy, you know, in House of Savior, we started to say, who was your great-grandfather? And one time we begin to ask ourselves that question. You said, you know what, there's no need just teaching people. Let's practice it. We had a 3-generational hangout. Thankfully, by God's grace, our both parents are still alive and they all live in Lagos. So we all went on a retreat. And you know, we like to be wearing and co. So we also sold and co for everybody, a sign of identity. We got there, the children took charge, interviewed the parents, talk about their lives, talk about how they met, talk about grandfather, talk about whatever is documented.
Good.
We have also planned the next level, which is in December, when by God's grace, everybody would be around and there will be no work, so that we can also do that. Because if you don't document these things, you will not find it out. To them, right now, we're saying we need to begin to visit Nigerian heritage sites.
Yeah.
So we're saying, oh, we had our part of our family recreation system is to be able to have an international vacation every 2 years. But then by the time dollar price has shown us shege, if you finish paying international school fees, now add all of the school fees, you go shift the goal again. And we start and said, if we can't do international vacations, what about Nigeria? Now that we're even saying we want the children to be integrated, and let's maybe start first of all to say that we have actually always been Nigerians in reality of our culture. Because when we started to have our children, none of our children have English names. In fact, we have Wazobia in our family. As Igbos, they all have Igbo names. Then the first one has a Yoruba name, Oluwaseyi. Our second daughter's name is Amina. In her baptismal card, in our official record, not nickname. So our first daughter is Kosisochukwu Oluwaseyi Nwobi. The other one is Kachinsema Amaka Amina Nwobi. And our son is Kobi Chukwudi Morenikeji Nwobi. The Yorubas, don't tell me Morenikeji is woman name. Leave it for me. I know the meaning. That's why I gave it to him. So you see that the Africanness has always been there, but you can sometimes get caught up in westernized life that you begin to lose yourselves. But remember, once you remember it, come back, start documenting. Nothing is stupid. You know, if for people who have, you know, gone through the training where we're sharing with them the blueprints and we're sharing with them, in fact, when we go to teach now, as we used to do before, but we lost the practice, we carry our materials. We carry that family meetings book that started in 2003 when we got married to say, hey, see what is possible. We're not just telling you story. This meeting book, if you look at it, you go see, say you don't see Bege. But then it doesn't matter where you are starting. If you are starting now, start now to document it. Don't say, I wish I did it 20 years ago. Leave 20 years. The one that you now know. So let me even challenge House of Saviors. From January till September, there have been many things we have taught. Can you beat your chest and say that you have implemented, even if it is 20% of it in your family. If you have not, then you need to do something differently, because we don't just gather here to talk. Take one, act on it, promote it, talk about it, climb the mountaintop and shout about it. It doesn't matter who is saying you cannot dance, you're white hair, you are too old, that one is, forget the skeptics. Do what you know it's in line with your value and speaks to your heart, and everybody will fall in place one way or the other.
Just to add a word to what Dinma said, we need to begin to think in long term, 100 years from now, what will be the impact of our living today? Because I think we are so myopic in our approach to life, which is most self-centered. And that cause of where we will have to do a lot of delayed gratification. You know, we live in a society, we want to pride ourselves today, either by the cars, the homes we have in the village, the one we have here, while education is very important. And this is where we find out that what we can't enjoy today, let our children enjoy it. We are able to say, let the grandchildren be happy that we lived in 2024. Let the great-grandchildren be happy that they have grandparents who paved the way for them to have the kind of ease of life, living it freely, fully, and fulfilled. Then secondly, we must also look at the idea of equality of gender. I know this can look like Africa. Every person has the right to fly, whether it's a male or a female. And one of the things where we said is that when we said our first daughter will go outside to study, outside the countries, they're like, you don't send a lady. You have a son. Why sending a lady first? It doesn't matter. Once the resource is there, who has the opportunity to go first should go. So it's not about whether it's a man or a lady. Thirdly, let the best of us lead us. Let the best of us lead us. And so in building family legacy, even when your daughter is going to marry to another man, but is the best person to lead the legacy, let her do that. Let him do that. Not the firstborn, not the lastborn, not the third son, not the male or female. Who is inspired, who is ready, who loves what the family legacy stands for, should allow to lead, so that the worst of us, in quote, does not become the leaders and dethrone everything that we have suffered to build. And so this is what I want to add to, in addition to what the man said.
President General among the nation, woman rapper, President General among the. How could they do for president? Yeah, president.
Yeah, please, we have renamed that. It's not Woman Rapper Association. It's the Grand Patron of Intentional Husbands Association.
Are you the rename? Are you a man? We are the ones. We are the ones. We know our president. Now you cannot be dictating what we should do in our association. Go and do women association. Anyways, thank you very much. Tim Lawrence, I'm giving you 1 minute to say your final word. Ebon, you have a question.
It's actually a contribution. I don't know if it's a good time to come in or after the Lawrences comes in.
Okay, say what you want to say in 1 minute, please. They've been telling me I have to get out of here.
Okay, thank you very much, Team Nwobi and Team Lawrence, and thank you, Pierre, for this beautiful session. Yesterday, fortunately, at the family meeting, we had the conversation around healthy masculinity, and the Olaores, Team Olaores, were on the show. And listening to the conversation this afternoon, I think in building a legacy, summing it up with the song you just sang, the title for Uncle Nedum, I think it is high time families start paying attention to healthy masculinity. And with healthy masculinity from our conversation comes with secured masculinity. If we're talking family, yes, the best should take the lead. If the best is taking the lead, if the best is the woman, there's also the need for the man to support. And that is why we see a lot of homes breaking. The woman wants to take the lead. Oh, it is human wrapper, something, something. And they label the man that is allowing the woman to take the lead as human wrapper. And I guess this is one of the reasons why some men are not soft pedaling. You know, yesterday, I remember Dr. Laure saying the biggest gift for a man to grow is the woman, and not the woman that you subdue. So we need to pay attention to that healthy masculinity. The Olares were also very vulnerable, talking about their experiences, how that the wife is the intimidating Oma and all that. But Dr. Olaore said something. He said at some point, I can't remember which of them said, he said, your humanity hurts me. He said that. He said, so, okay, yeah, I think it was Dr. Olaore that said that your humanity hurts me, but your humility healed me. This is saying that for the women also, you know that your husband is this. There's a way women can also be so fussy about it. And in fact, yesterday, I remember Mrs. Olaore saying there was a time she was looking at her husband like, why are you so dumb? And it wasn't as if she meant it that way, but that was the way it was seeming. And the man eventually said, your humanity healed me. So there's a need to talk about healthy masculinity.
Thank you, Ebon. Thank you. They have chased me out. Thank you very much. The video of that meeting is available. It's part of our meetings for family meetings. Maybe they can put it in the chat box so that people who missed that meeting can go watch it. Okay, yes, Tim Lawrence, your final word. 1 minute.
Yes, Femi has given me the go ahead to, to just share what we would love to drop with the house. We'd love to encourage parents to share the stories, because when we share our stories, our children are able to see how we've come, our failings, our successes, and when they are going through their own challenges as human beings, they will be able to know that it's not just common to them, it's common to all humans. They would also love to drop the fact that it's very important that we carry them along with what we do. In our family, our children are involved in the business. All of them are on the payroll, doing one thing or the other, from the 23-year-old to the 13-year-old. They are all on the payroll doing one thing or the other. So it's important that whatever we're doing, let's carry our children along. They may not be part of the business, as it were, depending on your family dynamics, but it's important that they know what is happening. It's important that they are aware of everything, that is happening within the family. Then I would also like to say, I know a lot of people don't like to do this. Have your family will, very important, so that when you go, it's easier for the people you are leaving behind. We did ours in 2003, and then we reviewed it in about 2 years ago, just to bring it up to state. And it doesn't mean that we are going soon. No, it's just that we are ensuring that we are leaving a legacy that would help the children who are growing, who we are leaving behind, and even the grandchildren and even the great-grandchildren. We're leaving something great, for them when we are gone. So I think I'll just...
let me just give me 20 seconds to add on to that. One thing I just also want to drop in addition to this, as part of the family legacy, what we are doing, please, let's learn, let's train up our family members to be an investor, right from when they are babies. For example, when they are doing naming ceremony, the first money that came in, that money belongs to them. Open the bank account, let it continue. That's what we did to all our children. We never touched any of their money. Some of them are even millionaires today now. I'm pretty sure by the time you look at it. So let's just let them be aware that this is happening. This is what they have, and this is how. And when they are 18 years old, in our own case, when our child became 18, the two of them are already adult now. They took over their bank account and they have instructions to continue to build on it. So they have that understanding, of being an investor. And lastly, every member of the family should learn to celebrate one another. We have our own way of celebrating. We must celebrate ourselves during our birthday, between when something great is happening. We have our own unique way of celebration. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay, Team Nedum, final word in 1 minute.
If Africa will take over the world, if Africa will rule the world, we must give our children the opportunity to experience the best kind of education, the best kind of life, of mentoring, guidance, and exposure to global competitive stage. And not just say that Africa is backward, blaming it on the colonial masters. Let's change that thinking pattern and let Africa rise to where it belongs in global recognition. Thank you.
My last word would be, so many things have been said today, a lot of aha moments. And I wish that for everyone listening here, this session will be a solution-focused one for you, not one for you to bite your mouth in regrets, not one for you to even go and quarrel with your partner for the things you have been telling them you people should do, but they are not doing, but just for you to improve. And like I always say, never allow what you cannot do stop you from what you can do. So even if there are so many things here you've learned that you cannot right now apply in your family, is there one you can start? And I say to people, you say, my husband will not cooperate. And I said to the woman who wanted to learn how to set family goals in our family, and she said, I told my husband, and he was like, do we have any problem? Where are you going to learn this one? And I asked her a question. Did he say you cannot set goals? And did he say you cannot carry the children to set the goals? She said no. I said, so whilst it will be best that everybody comes together to do it, when one person is not yet convinced, can the person who is convinced rally around the other people and start somewhere? Because whether your partner wants to be involved or not, if you do not drop the skills of life for your children, they are going to suffer. And life will not spare them the consequences because one parent was not involved. So if not, start doing what you need to do. Teach your children the life skills. Begin to implement, even if it is one of the things you learned today. And progressively, you will be building an enduring family legacy.
Thank you very much, Tim Nedum and Nwobi, and Dinma and Nwobi. Thank you, Tim Lawrence. One of the things Uncle Nedum said that must not be lost on all of us, let the best of us lead the rest of us. One of the challenges I've seen in families is, maybe as a man or as a wife, that maybe your husband or your wife had the better parenting experience, had the better family life experience, you had a very toxic family life experience, and yet you still want to call the shots. You don't know how things work. If you have one of you who knows how things work, who understands relationship, there is no ego, there is no pride, there is no arrogance. It's in the best interest of the family. Please, let's normalize this. Don't forget the saying, let the best, it might be your children who even know about the tech thing, let them lead the rest of all in the family, right? And that's how families can maximize their competitive advantage. Instead of one man saying that I am the Lord and the chief of all, I dictate what happens. You cannot dictate what happens. Thank you very much for this beautiful experience. And on that note, we've ended our sessions on family life legacy. Next month, we get into something else. Next month is our month of giving back. So we're going to be looking at a lot of not-for-profit. But don't forget, Taste of Africa, first Saturday and Sunday in October. Please cook African meals. Invite your neighbor, your native meal. Tell them your family history. Tell them what that meal is for. So that we have some African soup that when you are sick, that's what our forefathers will cook. Let's make those things, let's explain to them let them do the tasting. Take pictures, take videos, and then let's share. Let the world know that there is something great about us as a people. Thank you, everyone. God bless you. I will hand over back to our anchor. We hand over to back to Uncle Lena. Lena, where are you? Lena Jane from Lusaka, Zambia. Over to you, Lena.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. What a great